Right, the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in entertainment, media, sports, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Nick Durst here, along with Joe Calabrese and Joe. Who needs a doctor? Who needs a prescription when you can get a daily dose of our guests that we have with us here today?
First off, I want to say I like the polo shirt that you got going on. A little more formal than usual. You're always looking good. But yeah, a little daily dose with our guest today. She's a former casting director. She's a motivational speaker, a content and personal branding coach, and the host of her own podcast, Daily Dose with Donna. We welcome Donna Bowling to the show. Donna, welcome. How are you doing today?
Hey guys, well, thank you for having me, number one. Wow. I'm feeling good. Got a lot of energy.
Good. Let's carry that energy into the podcast.
Let's do it.
Let's start with you attending UC Santa Barbara, studying sociology. So talk to us about
Wow.
your college experience.
You did your homework. I went to UC Santa Barbara, which is 2 hours away from where I grew up here in LA. I never left California, really. I mean, I like to travel, but not to live. And I mean, Santa Barbara, that is a party school. I partied my face off. But I also I learned a lot about myself. You grow up in college.
You do. Everyone has a good experience for the most part. And you're interesting major there. You're studying social life, social change, social causes, and the consequences of human behavior. And I think that pretty much ties pretty well into casting director as far as getting in people's heads and their psyche. So you worked as a casting director for a variety of film projects, TV networks like Disney, Nickelodeon, MTV, Fox, ABC, CW, and so on and so forth, NBC. So how did you end up in that career, in that profession after college?
So I grew up here in Los Angeles, and there are certain people that like TV or movies or whatever, and then there's people that obsess over them. And like I was the kid that would watch TV from morning till night when I could. There was nothing better than Saved by the Bell, Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, I was born 81, so like I grew up watching these shows that I just was so interested in like the behind the scenes of it. My dad was an OBGYN at the time here in LA, and he delivered a lot of celebrity kids.
Hmm.
And so when I was like 7 years old, I remember my dad was like, oh, I want to go visit one of my patients on set. And it was Jean Smart, who was on the show Designing Women at the time. It was a sitcom that lasted for a few years back in the day, and it was really cool for me to be on set, like as a little kid. And then I went to, tapings all the time, like of different shows. I just was obsessed. So when I graduated college, I'm trying to remember, I worked for a manager, a talent manager, a very big one. He managed Burt Reynolds and like Ron Perlman and really big guys, Chevy Chase. And I didn't love it, but I knew I wanted to do something in the industry. And my mom actually met a casting director on a flight and just started kind of chatting with her and then said, hey, my daughter's graduating UC Santa Barbara. She wants to work in the industry. Can she meet you? So I never really sought out casting, but I was obsessed with it once I got into it. It really was like a perfect job for me at the time.
It's an incredibly interesting path then. You mentioned representation and stuff like that quick. We've had guests on in the past where we ask, does an agent help you and all that? Some people like to be represented by somebody else because it's helpful. Other people kind of represent themselves. Based on your experience in the industry, what side would you lean to, especially like somebody like me or somebody like Nick who's looking to break in?
Well, you mean as an actor?
It doesn't just have to be an actor.
So I mean, look, there's so many different industries in the industry. Like there's so many different avenues. If you're an actor and you really want to take it seriously and get, brought into legitimate auditions and scripted shows, etc., it's very important to have representation. It's really hard to do it without. If you are, doing other things, I don't know if it's as important. I think it's like my husband's a camera guy, right? So he works in the reality world, and he's a union camera op, and he's never had a manager or an agent because he gets all his jobs from word of mouth, and then like, you know, someone he worked with brings him onto another show. But with the acting space, you really do need to be submitted by a rep to be seen by a casting director.
So what are you personally looking for when casting reality TV versus casting a regular actor or an actress for a TV show?
I think the biggest thing that is the difference, and I've really never done a lot of reality casting for this reason, because it's such a different experience than scripted casting. I did work on one reality show, and I remember actually not enjoying the process of casting. With actors, you're looking for someone who can really embody the role, who can do amazing with the lines, who can kind of like show you what like bring the lines to life, right? And you don't know what you're looking for until you see it. It's crazy. It's like you can go through, and really the job of casting is going through a lot of, I don't know if I can curse, but a lot of really, really shitty actors to get to the ones that are great. You know, it's a lot of weeding out. Reality is kind of different because I think the goal is to find the most dynamic, watchable personality. And that can sometimes be like a horrendous person in real life. It can be someone that's cheesy. It can be someone that's shady. It can be someone that's kind of a jerk. But if they can't be boring, that's the thing. On reality TV, we've seen so many shows, and that's what, you know, I cover now talking on my show. But if the worst thing, like the kiss of death for a reality star, is someone that is forgettable or boring, right?
Yeah, I think an issue with some of the reality shows now is that their whole casting is based around how many Instagram followers does the person have. I think that's going to draw in eyeballs because this one's posting bikini pictures or that one's modeling his whatever his haircuts. That doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, translate over to the screen when you know when the lights and rolling camera action. So that I think I know you've been out of casting a little bit now, but I think it's probably super difficult to cast reality TV right now because I mean, outside of like the show Survivor or Big Brother, every other show that's reality competition based is like, let's check their followers. Have they been viral on social media or whatever? What are your thoughts on how social media has impacted reality casting?
I think so many people go on reality shows so that they can grow their social media, so that they can become influencers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one that's more like every single bachelor contestant or bachelorette contestant is out for that reason.
Yep.
I think it's and honestly, like the Bravo world, you do not go on a Real Housewife or on any of these shows, to be honest, Summer House, any of them, unless you have a plan of how you're going to monetize it. Because the show can come and go and you can be there for one season. But if you don't have that business that you can promote subtly under the radar, or even just on social media, not even on the show, but just social media, because you're going to get followers if you're on a show. There's no question. Now, the question is here, you know, well, I'll tell you something. When I stopped, because I stopped casting almost 10 years ago now, probably 8 years ago, we were at the forefront of like really hiring young influencer actors, like these kids that, you know, the Charlie D'Amelios, like the TikTok viral stars. And they were never good actors compared to what we were seeing out there. But that was like the beginning of that period where people thought, oh, it's better to get the publicity and have
All
a
right.
crappy, you know, a
Yeah.
performance
I forget
than
her
get,
name, but
and
one of the TikTokers, remember she became really great friends with Kourtney Kardashian, and she got a movie and that tanked because she couldn't act. I mean,
that's the
that's
problem. I mean, and they kind of like lack personality when they're not in these little 60-second dancing
right.
videos or whatever that they go viral for. A lot of these influencers I notice is the, and I don't think this about reality stars for the most part, but influencers, meaning TikTok stars, are one person on their screen. And then if you meet them in real life, like a lot of times they're really introverted, they're really uncomfortable, they're not personable the way that you would think they were, because they can turn it on for that 2-minute video. And then when it goes off, reality, usually you get what you get because they forget that the cameras are there and you're seeing them in their day to day. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you know, publicity is so important. And as we see, like TikTok, if something is being talked about on social media and going viral, everyone's going to want to talk about it or see it. So that's why there is a level of social media importance for all these people. But like my friend worked on, she got an Emmy actually for casting Traders season 1, Traders US. And there were some celebrities on there. They did like a half celebrities and half non. And not even celebrities, just like reality stars. But I thought that that was an amazing job. And she was looking for people that really didn't have anything. Like they were just nobodies coming off, their lives.
Yeah, I think what social media has done is it's not really a proper barometer for talent anymore. Again, because everything is kind of so narrow. Once
Yeah.
upon a time, there used to be a different way to do things, right? You used to bring people in, there used to be an extensive casting process. What we've seen recently is in recent years with the emergence of streaming services and budgets, we've seen more documentaries, right? We've seen a little insight into what once was, once upon a time. So I wanted to get your thoughts specifically about the documentary, specifically about the ID documentary, Quiet on Set, the
Mm,
dark side of kids TV, because
mhm.
we've seen documentaries in recent times about how things used to be back then. Do you think it's an accurate portrayal, and do you think we're going to see more documentaries about that side of the business moving forward in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, I never worked with Dan Schneider. I worked alongside people who had worked with him because I was there at the same time. Like I was on a Nickelodeon show casting at the same time as a lot of these shows. And of course, I was really heavily involved with Disney during a lot of these shows rise. So we were kind of in the same world and we would see, I was friends with a lot of the casting directors that were on those shows, like actually Dan's main casting director who did most of his shows was a good friend of mine and we would talk openly about it. I didn't know the level of the really disgusting, horrible, predatorial behavior, but I did know that he was a toxic boss. And there was a lot of like crazy stuff that would happen. I heard from a lot of people about, the late night phone calls, like, you got to get it done by 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. And they're like, how can we cast a role? It's 11:30 p.m. Like, it's not going to happen. So there was just a lot of outrageous demands. But then when you go into the Drake Bell story and these other stories of these young children getting completely abused by these disgusting adult males, yeah, I think where there's smoke there's fire. And I think that luckily I didn't see too much. I didn't see actually any of that for kids, but like on the Disney shows I worked on, the behavior out of the writers room was unreal. Like it's just not, you don't expect it because you're working on a kid show. But I think a lot of the comedy writers on kids shows are, they're just like, they always are trying to push the envelope. And so they'll say things that are really inappropriate about the kids, about you, I was a young 20-some-year-old girl as a casting director. And I think that that was fun for them to like have fun with that. So yeah, it was toxic. I mean, there was great experiences too. It wasn't all bad. And there's definitely good people in that world, but it is a little bit of a weird situation. Like, let's put all our energy into like finding kids talent. It's gross a little bit. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
No, of
Yeah.
course it makes sense. And like I said, I think in the coming years you may see a couple of other documentaries or projects pop up about that side of the world. But let's get back to you. Let's get back to fun things. Let's talk about your transition into your personal branding,
Yeah.
video, and podcast coaching.
Yeah, so I'm like a cat with 9 lives. And I started in casting and I did that. I was a very, very successful casting director at a really young age. And like I said, I loved casting at the time and there was some really cool opportunities and we got to discover great actors. Like we discovered Zendaya, we discovered Debbie Ryan, who ended up being on a bunch of different Disney shows. And we worked on really cool things. But as the industry changed, it got to be too political. There was too many cooks in the kitchen. Everyone wanted to say, I actually really didn't like working for these corporate companies. So when we pulled out of the business, what I did was I started coaching actors, young actors, but like for my own business. And this was the most wild experience because my business exploded since all these kids and their parents from around the world and country were like, oh, here's a casting director that can help my kid get on TV. And so they would come to me for audition coaching, and my business was it was nuts, right? I was making a ton of money. I was getting crazy gifts from these parents, like expensive things all the time. And I hated it because I remember feeling like, ew, this is gross. Like, I don't want to like add to this kid in casting thing. So I quit that. My husband was like, what the? He was like, well, what are you quitting for? Are you serious? Because we were doing so well because of it. Um, and I just started helping people because I built my business on social media. So I started helping other women who would come to me and say, like, how are you doing this? Like, didn't understand how to do Instagram stories. And, there weren't even reels at the time for Instagram. TikTok wasn't a thing either. It was 2017 and 18. So I started to help people use Instagram. And then that turned into like content coaching and video coaching. And I had all these programs. And actually, COVID really helped my business because every single woman I knew started their business from home and they needed to like figure out how to do social. But then last January, beginning of the year, I was just on a walk with my dogs. I was listening to something, I don't remember what, that was like super kick in the pants, like motivational. And I thought to myself, like, I want to do something that's a little more fun rather than just like work and coaching and business, Because I had a podcast called Show Up on Video and it was really successful, but I was bored with it, like talking about video content. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start a daily show. I have all the equipment. I'll start a daily show where I talk about whatever I want to talk about every single day. And so my first few episodes, I was talking about like 90s TV and documentaries I was watching or a scripted show that I was obsessed with or whatever. And then I started talking about like you guys aren't going to even know the references, but like Heather McDonald and Jeff Lewis. These are two like comedians, podcasters, radio stars, reality stars, but they were feuding. So I was like talking about the people creating the content feuding, which I guess was a niche that no one had really done. And everything changed. My whole show just like went crazy.
So the show, of course, Daily Dose of Donna, 5 days a week on YouTube. Are you surprised that your YouTube channel really took off? And what period in the last year or so did you see that massive explosion as far as page view, video views going up and subscribers?
Yeah, I mean, I just got an email right now saying I just hit 2.8 million views on my YouTube channel, which is so cool to know. I think it was weird. I wasn't using YouTube at all. I was just doing an audio podcast because that's all I had known. I was recording it so that I could have clips for TikTok or whatever, but I wasn't airing the whole episode. I thought to myself it was like a distraction or a detraction, I should say, from the audio side. I was like, why should I also put it on YouTube? Because then I'll have less listens.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily, actually, it was a client of mine from before. She was like, you should put your stuff on YouTube. Like you would kill. And I did. And it was around Scandival and around all that time. And so I was a few months into the show already. And it was unreal what happened. Like I within a week, I got 2,000 subscribers. Within the next 2 weeks, it grew really fast. I don't know. I was in some sort of crazy, amazing algorithm. But because of that YouTube version of it, I think I developed like a really close relationship with a lot of my viewers, and they're there every single day because I go live at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 5 days a week. And the same, I have between 400 and 500 people that watch every live. And then of course, more people watch the replay, but those people are there every freaking day. And it's so cool.
What are some of the coolest events that you've gotten to attend thanks to the podcast?
I get invited to a lot of events and I say no. And that's the truth. I've gone to like some cool things. I've gone to a Jeff Lewis event, like one of his Hollywood House Live premieres, because I love Jeff Lewis. I went to BravoCon. Like I'll do things like that. But if I'm going to be 100% honest, like I don't want to be out and about with these people. I'll tell you why. So number one, I'm a mom. Okay. So I'm 40 freaking 3 years old in a week or two. So I'm an old mom. And like I have an 8 and an 11-year-old. So life is so busy. I work all day and then I pick them up from school and we have activities. I don't want to go back out. I'm like, I'd rather lay on my couch and watch the shows. But more than that, I can't talk about these people if I get close to them.
Right.
And a lot of these podcasters and content creators want to become friends with these reality stars. But then once you become friends with them, it's over. Like now you have a bias. You can't talk crap about, anyone on Vanderpump Rules if you're besties with them.
Right.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to get too close to the sun, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be hard to, rip somebody and then you have to see them and it's like, what the hell? They're talking bad about me. I'm so nice to you. So
It's uncomfortable. And I don't really just like get on air to talk badly, but it's
right.
like I'm talking about your show, and a lot of times your show like shows you being an asshole. So
Yeah.
like you're being a jerk, I'm not gonna be scared to say it.
Yeah. So for you, have you noticed which reality show, when you discuss it, leads to higher audio downloads or video views?
So it's usually, well, it's funny. It's usually about like what is happening. So it's like the scandal stuff, right? So Scandival was insane. I think for everyone that was talking about this, obviously you guys know what that is, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I'm a big Bravo guy. So
You are. Okay, good. So anything Scandival, but now no one cares. Like anytime Vanderpump Rules, I think people are not interested in Vanderpump Rules at all because, well, I'm not. Like I watch it because I have to, but I don't want to watch it. It's so bad. Like to me, it's bad. The Kyle Richards and Mauricio divorce and breakup from Real Houses of Beverly Hills, like that was a big one. Anytime there's like big divorces or the lesbian affairs or anytime it's about that. So it's less about the show and it's more about what's happening on the show, like what's getting the press. Shannon's DUI on Real Housewives of OC, that was like a really big deal. Right now, like with Real Housewives in New Jersey just starting, and we have this big, like there's this behind the scenes drama that I guess a couple of the women on the show have been like talking and paying bloggers and
yeah, we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Perk
Talk about
years
that.
up, James Leonard.
Yeah, and then and Summer House, like on Summer House, Lindsay and Carl, because so Lindsay and Carl are two characters on Summer House, and they announced that the wedding was called off before the episodes aired.
Yeah.
So now that the episodes are airing, we're so invested because
right.
you want to see it fall apart. Like you want to see how it happened. It's
Listen,
so
we're
gross.
big. We like Carl here. Carl came on with us, so
Yeah, he was very
Guys.
nice at the time.
nice guy.
Listen, I'm sure he's a really nice guy. I just don't think. Are you watching?
I never miss an episode. I've seen them
Okay.
all. I think that. I mean,
You don't think he's
clear-
handling it right, right?
I don't think either of them are handling it right. But I mean, I could see why he'd be mad that he has to drive back from the Hamptons by himself. I think that was an interesting scenario, but overall, you could see that she's getting him very worked up this season. There was some underlying issues there, and all this to say, like, I can't wait to see what happens this summer when they record the show because
if they're both in the house. Yeah, we don't even know. Wait, do you watch it, Joseph, or no?
I here and there.
You'll dabble. So
I will dabble. I'm more of like the competition show person. So like
You love
I'll
it.
watch. I love Big Brother. I watch
Yep.
the challenge now religiously.
Love it.
Nick is a little more of like the glitz and glam when it comes to the reality TV.
I watch all the
two of us.
competition shows too.
My husband shoots all that. Well, he does a lot of the competition shows. He does like Dancing with the Stars, and he's done Big Brother for seasons, but he does a lot of the dating shows. So now like I feel like I have to kind of like he does a lot of the Netflix dating shows, like Perfect Match and stuff like that. But wait, about Carl, all I can say is that I spent this weekend in like a hole watching, not really like in a hole
Early
on the
season,
phone when
yeah.
I'm like washing dishes, but I'll watch episodes of Summer House from like 4 seasons ago because you forget like how it all started. And he was this way from the very beginning. This guy straight up came on the show saying, I'm scared of commitment. And it's like, she should have listened to him. So it's so weird to watch these people years ago before they, you know.
Yeah, it's always nice to go back and watch things with revisionist history. Done the same for like Real Houses in New Jersey, New York, Beverly Hills, and it's interesting. Especially like if you go back now and watch Beverly Hills early on, you could see like everything. Like basically, you could if you look back revisionist, like, well, that makes a lot of sense that happens. But with Summer House, where does the show go from here? Obviously, this next season, if they film it with Carl Lindsay, all right, we got a storyline, we're locked in. That's something to get rallied behind. Beyond that, I think it's kind of like getting to the point where they need to kind of shake up the casting here because how many seasons in a row are we going to talk about? Is Paige going to move to South Carolina or is Craig
I
going to?
will talk about that for 10 more years.
I think
That's
that they need to do. So like there are a couple. I think there's too many couples in the house right now, in my
I love
opinion. That's why I think Sam wasn't invited back this season because they wanted to not have
shake that
everybody
up.
in a couple. They wanted to get some single people in there who were going to party it up.
And they
And
hooked up right away. The single people hooked up right
yeah,
away, Sierra and West. But I will tell you, there's something really beautiful about that show because I think you're seeing so many people in the same stage of their life, right? In their 30s, between 30 and 40, but in all different levels. Like one of them is married, one of them is just dating, one of them just hooked up, one of them is engaged,
yeah.
one of them has long distance, one of them is single. Like, and it's cool to see that you can relate to someone on that show, regardless, like, because they're all you connect with someone on that show. Um, I think this is crazy to like actually, I think, and then we'll move on because poor Joseph, he's like, who, what do you guys? I think that Amanda and Kyle divorce or break up on the next season of Summer House, and that would be what this next
Well,
summer.
there you could see it. She wasn't too happy on her last Watch What Happens live episode with Patty doing things to
Well,
checklist, and
I don't know. Would you call your wife lazy on national TV 100 times
they're
over?
not a good match. I mean,
No.
Amanda, like that's her. She admitted that's her meal ticket though. He pays the bills, and she wouldn't be on the show without him because she does not do anything. She's in bed. She's like, that's it. And so I think that's we got to keep an eye on, but I don't think they're gonna last too long. And I don't know if Paige and Craig are gonna make it down the aisle at some point, but I think my fear is because I used to like Winter House. That got canceled because
Yeah,
there's just terrible casting in the last
horrible.
season. So I'm fearful they'll get to that point with Winter House, with Summer House. But listen, I think you
I
gotta
just want to watch shows when they are in good locations and it's like nice out and they're in nice homes. Like I personally feel like I relate more to those gorgeous summer type
sure.
homes and shows. Winter House, I'm like, they're just
I
skinny.
think Winter House, like the first season made sense. You basically brought the Summer House cast to Winter House, and it's just to see you're familiar with the people. But when you're bringing
Yeah,
in people from Below Deck and Vanderpump, there's just too many
they
people.
tried. They tried
Too
too
many
hard to make
people.
it like, yeah, I think they tried too hard to make it like a
All
like one of
Stars,
those,
Real Housewives.
yeah, like an all-star show.
Yeah. I just think last thing on Summer House, I think that we all would love to see Andrea Denver return full time. He's great.
We'll see. We'll see.
But for you, I mean, obviously you're talking about all these shows. How do you keep up with every show? You're a mother, you have two kids. How do you find time to watch all these shows?
So I think I just kind of like fit it in. I have to say, like, luckily we can watch them all on our phones. And so I can multitask and I'll watch a lot of the less important shows, like while I'm cooking dinner with just an AirPod in. And or like doing laundry or just while I'm here, like answering emails, there'll be a show on. I watch a show at night before I go to bed. I'll watch a show in the morning. Like I only tape at 11, so I'll wake up, take kids to school and work out and watch a show.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just find a way. It is more work now. Like it used to just be for fun, and now it feels like homework. But I enjoy it. Like I enjoy doing it. So I would probably watch it regardless. This time I just have to pay more attention.
So who are some of your favorite reality stars that you've gotten to meet? And I kind of want to sneak this in. You watch everything, but like, is there any other TV that you like?
Yeah. You know, I used to be anti-scripted TV and only reality TV when I worked in scripted, which is weird. And my husband, who works in reality, only watches scripted. But now I feel like I've really loved so many scripted shows. Like, recently I've been so into Hacks. I've been so into, like, I just watched the whole Only Murders in the Building, The Bear. Um, what's another show that Lance and I have been watching together? I watch a bunch of like just on my own, little 30-minute shows here and there, like Schitt's Creek type shows just for fun.
Show.
But we love documentaries. I'm watching the Ashley Madison documentary right now. Um, we're watching Full Swing, Welcome to Wrexham, like any of those kinds of shows I'm really into. So I'm kind of all over the place with it. It's like whatever, jumps out at me. But in terms of reality stars, I've met a lot of them, but like no one's that exciting, to be honest, to meet. Like it's just not exciting for me to meet a reality star. If you're gonna put me in front of like a movie star, I'll get whoa, For whatever reason, reality stars are just not, it doesn't excite me like that. Although I'm obsessed with Craig Conover from Southern Charm, so I would fall over if I met him. I would be so excited. And you watch the challenge, so CT
He's
is
the
number
man.
one.
I can't wait for the season 40.
Is he coming back?
He's on it. They recorded it. I'm not
Yes.
gonna,
Oh my
it's already
God.
taped. It was. I don't know if did you watch The Real World back in the day in the challenge?
Every single
Yeah.
season
So
of the Real
basically,
World.
without giving any spoilers away, there's 4 teams and they broke it up by errors. So they had like the original people, then they had the Johnny CTs. The original error was like Derek, Brad, it said Darrell. Then
Yes.
they had the next class and the current class. So 4 teams. They all went at it. So I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited.
Oh, that will be so fun to watch. I'll
Love
have to
the
watch.
challenge. And we'll see what happens there. But let's turn the page, Joe. What do you think? It's time for some fun questions.
Yeah, I agree.
Stuff that'll really get the audience going here. Uh, First up, I want to talk about this family who I feel is kind of done a bit of a Houdini act. Well, maybe some disappearing here, but money aside, Donna, do you think the Kardashians regret going to Hulu? Because I feel like they have a lot less exposure now than they were when they are E. I'm not keeping up with them anymore. I don't know what's going on. And I think, is Hulu happy with this? Did they get the subscribers they thought they were going to get from the Kardashians? How are the Kardashians feeling about their exposure these days?
Without knowing like details of how much they're making and how much Hulu's spending and how many people are watching, because you can't really access like
no
numbers for
ratings.
Netflix or Hulu. I would say that whatever it is, even if it's low for the Kardashians, it's still probably pretty phenomenal. I mean, at the end of the day, they still have crazy amounts of fans that even though we're not talking about them as much, and I'm not interested. I mean, I used to watch their show religiously. I have not also been that into it. I think it's just like comes and goes. Like I'm sick of them. I think Kanye ruined them. I'm grossed out that they brought Kanye into our lives the way that she did. And like, I think well, I mean, he was around, but she really like made him more of a mainstream for everyone else. And I think it's like it's boring at this point. It feels like so produced. So and
Definitely.
Courtney and Travis, like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested.
Not a good look there. So
But I'm sure they're doing well. Listen, I'm sure Hulu paid them regardless of
they're doing well
getting.
financially for sure.
Come on, these
I
people.
wonder if E's hurting because I haven't put on E since they left the channel. But
Who has? Is E still a channel? Is the question.
well, I think E just airs like The Proposal and all the same
Sex in the
movies.
City. It's a lot of Sex in the City.
Yeah. So that's her
The
there.
Proposal, yeah, the breakup, Sex in the City, How to Lose a
Guy in
Guy.
10 days. Yeah, all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's what it is. All right. So listen, this other show I want to talk to you about. I know you're a big fan of, as am I. Obviously, there was a major tragedy recently, so that could be touched on. But how much more juice is there for TLC to squeeze out of the Sister Wives?
I was just about to say, are you about to talk about Sister Wives? This is shocking.
I feel like they're going the separate ways. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to want to watch a Mary spinoff, Mary Ever After or something. Maybe they could do a Merry Christmas special with Mary Brown and she's looking for her reindeer or Santa's little helper or something. But I don't know. the problem with the show is even this next season, it's not going to be on what just happened with the child unfortunately committing suicide because they're like 3 years behind on filming, and then they released the phone footage like 5 years later. So I'm wondering, what are you hearing? What do you know? Are they going to continue the show any further?
You know, I have not heard anything about like a schedule, production. I'm sure TLC is probably panicked because it was like probably one of their most best performing shows. I mean, I know 90 Day Fiance and those shows do well. I don't watch any of them,
Yeah,
but Sister Wives is one of those shows that like, given what it's about and who's in it, it's shocking that I watch it. Like it's so not for me, and I yet can't quit it. Like cannot quit it. And this whole thing that happened with Janelle's son, um, it makes it unfortunately because it's a show that you love to make fun of. And that's what Sister Wives is really good at, is being able to, like, my recaps of Sister Wives made me pee my pants. Like just talking about them, Sob
yeah,
and Robin, like these crazy characters, it's wild. And now it's like, because of the tragic side, I
yeah.
just don't know if fans are going to want to tune into it.
Yeah. We'll see
You
what
know,
they do.
they may have to find another polygamous family.
They maybe they gotta get Cody to look for another wife. That'll be a good storyline. But
Like, excuse
I
me
had
while
enough.
I vomit.
I had enough of the iPhone footage. Let's get some
Oh
real
my
cameras.
God. Oh my God. No, I think Cody should date Tori Spelling. And then we have like the perfect reality couple.
So
Or Kim Zolciak.
me and my wife have been saying that if this show ends, we want to see Christine Brown on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? She now is on Ozempic. She has fake teeth. She's full on Botox lasered up.
Yeah, it's funny.
It would be the most horrible casting ever to put her on that show. She would be a
Gonna
fish
fit
in the
in.
water.
Want to fit in. But I want to thank the Sister Wives because that's ultimately how you're here today with us, Donna. Because my wife, shortly after she gave birth to our child in August, obviously we're up all night feeding the baby. You pop up
Yeah.
on TikTok talking about the Sister Wives. She's like, I got to go listen to this full podcast. And
Oh
she's
my
been listening
God.
ever since August. Big fan. So
Bob and
I'm
Robin, that was
constantly walking through the house. I hear your thoughts in the background. It's great.
I seriously, for her, I'm gonna do my Sob and Robin because her eyebrows look like Sharpies. And oh, Sob. Sob and
All the
Robin
brunch
is,
together. Watch the grandkids.
yeah, it's unreal. That show. But you know what? It was so funny. I was just talking to someone about how TikTok has helped my show too. Like putting clips of your show on social media is like a really great way to market a show.
Yeah.
Because
For
look, it worked.
it worked, yeah. So for you, do you have a least favorite Housewives series that's currently active?
Where do I start? I think they're all my least favorite except like two.
Okay.
No, some people just drive me nuts, you know? I mean, on every single franchise, there's people that I love and people that I don't. But what's crazy is that some of the people that I'm obsessed with, I hate as people.
Hmm.
And like that's the thing about these housewives or just reality stars in general. Like even on the challenge, I'm always trying to bring Joseph in here just in case. So like he doesn't want to die, that he's so bored. But even on the challenge or on any of these other shows, like personalities that you'll never forget are usually like the really horrible, mean, disgusting, awful human
Yeah.
beings. Like,
Johnny Bananas.
yes, or well, Johnny Bananas I love though. I know he's a jerk, but like he actually feels like he'd be a nice guy in real life. Is there a world that
He's a little endearing, I think.
there's a kind side to him, and maybe that's what it is. But go back to like old school, like The Apprentice, Omarosa, right? Like horrible people, or really old school, real world Puck. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that
Puck
character.
got ejected. He got kicked out of
So
there.
there's always like these really awful people, which is funny that CT was always really liked because he was kind of a jerk too a lot of times.
Well, I'm
So
sure Adam
remember
doesn't like CT.
Adam
Nice.
and I went to high school together.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
I'll drop mine here. Me and
yeah,
Pete Davidson went to high school together.
shut up.
Yes.
Was he getting girls then?
No, he was
No,
very short. He got kicked out of the school. He was very
he
into
was
like
he,
video production, and then
yeah.
he left the school and kind of just fell off the
Look
top,
what
and
happened to
then
him.
he blew up. So
Yeah, we all have our stories, right? I went to Beverly Hills High School. So shockingly, I didn't have like as many. I didn't go to school with the class of Beverly Hills 90210, which I was sad about, but there were a lot of celebrity kids. Adam did come from, I think his dad or someone was like a big musician. I can't remember exactly, but I remember because he did Real World like during our college, right? So like right after we graduated. And like to see him just get bullied by this guy and then like to see him get beat up by him. But it's weird because I think it's because CT had DM that we were able to see that vulnerable side of him.
Humanize them, right?
And because of that, no matter what a jerk he was, we always will like him. And we know he's a kind guy, like he's a sweet soul.
I miss the Real World. Too bad the net didn't stick around.
I miss it so much, and you can rewatch seasons on Paramount Plus, and some of them are on Netflix, and it just doesn't hit. Like I want so badly for it to feel like it used to feel, and it's
Yeah.
just so
And then they
bad.
were doing like the reunion episodes on Paramount Plus. I think they should have did a reunion for Austin. That was a great season with
So
Wes,
many of them.
Melinda, Danny. I mean, that would be a great reunion.
Well, weren't they like married and then they
They were
divorced?
married. Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was very, very, that was my entrance into reality TV, no question. I think I was 10 years old when New York premiered. But all of those seasons, I just feel like I got so close with them. There was always like that actually was like stars. I would get starstruck. I remember because I was at school once in high school and I had a substitute teacher and her name was Rachel. And I was like, I know her. And it ended up being Rachel from Huck's season, from season 3 with Pedro.
Hmm.
Remember Rachel? And she ended up marrying Sean, who was on the Boston season.
Wow.
And they ended up having like 10 kids. And he's like a huge Republican conservative politician wherever they live. I don't remember where. It's crazy. Like it was, but I remember being starstruck. I was like, that's my teachers from the real world. Cool times.
So I have to ask, what do you think about Teresa and Louis using their lawyer, James, to pay off podcasters to paint a positive picture for them?
It's so wild. It's so shocking, but it's also like so on brand. I just think it wouldn't have happened with Beverly Hills Housewives or OC Housewives or Potomac Housewives, but like there's something about these Jersey girls. They just are, they play dirty. I think Teresa lives in the comments. I think she lives on social media. I think she's obsessive over what people think and say and do. And some housewives, some just don't care as much. They're like, so hate me. I don't care if you hate me. But I think her biggest thing in life is to make sure that people are on her side and against the people she doesn't like, her sister-in-law. And so it doesn't surprise me at all. But it's wild. And it really does suck for the fans who are following these accounts because just like as you know, just media, right? The way the media works, they can spin a lot of things towards a certain, directive. And I mean, you see it with current events all the time, like you see it with war and everything. And it's kind of a bummer because you wonder like how many minds have they changed about whose team to be on because they force these people. But that's why I'm a critical thinker when it comes to this stuff. I don't believe in like standing for anyone
Hmm.
always, no matter what they do. Like some people really dislike my opinion about Vanderpump Rules because I think a lot of people want to be on Team Ariana no matter what. Like she can do no wrong. And I'm like, okay, she got screwed. She got cheated on. She got effed big time, like completely screwed over. But she's doing great and she's still a human being. Like if she doesn't do something that's perfect, I'm not going to be like, but it's Ariana. It's okay. That's not human. So I think with the Teresa and everything, I go back and forth. Every episode I flip flop, but I just can't believe that an attorney, an actual working attorney, is doing this.
His other client's Angelina from Jersey Shore. So that's kind of what his business is. But I can't stand that Chantel and Roxanne podcast because it makes me want to. I got so annoyed when I was listening to it. I had to go to my phone and leave a review.
No, you didn't.
And I was like, 1 star. this show
Shut
is
up.
not all about the Real Housewives. It's all about how great Teresa is, and like there was anything she does, they're just like the opposite. Like no matter what, she's always good, and they gotta hit the Gorgas. So it makes total sense to me to hear recently that they're getting paid by Teresa.
Yeah, and then we see right through it. Like you can say Teresa maybe is a good mom, right?
Sure.
She's been great with her
Of
kids or
course.
whatever. But you cannot say like that this woman is like a saint. Let's be
Who do you
real.
think's running the show there? Is it Louis or Teresa?
It's so hard to say. I mean, you only think that a lot of people think it's Louis because he's louder, but like Teresa's been shady from the beginning. I mean,
Yeah,
Teresa's always been, she went to jail. Like
right.
this is not, we're not talking
Not
about like a
forget that.
church going, like
No,
perfect, school mom.
right.
It's
Yeah.
just wild. It's a different world out there.
So speaking of Louis and Teresa here, who is your favorite housewife husband combo across all the Bravoverse?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I don't know if you watch Miami, but Gertie and Russell, Gertie had breast cancer, and just seeing his ability to kind of stand by her in this last season and just be such a supportive, like not trying to get involved in drama, not trying to be a housewife like so many of these men are.
Mhm.
But just being a loving, supporting husband, quiet, calm, loving. It was beautiful to watch. I like on this new show, The Valley, I'm into one of the couples, Danny and Nia. And
Annie's from your world back in the
Yeah.
Disney days.
I used to audition him all the time. I used to
Yeah.
audition him, and I've hired him before, and he follows me on social, and we've talked about this too, which is so wild to see someone I used to audition like now being on a reality show that but actually it happens a lot. A lot of these reality stars used to audition. But they're only season one, and it worries me because they have these like really, really young kids. And I just don't see how you can like maintain a really strong, happy, good relationship on reality TV. Like, I just don't see how it works.
Well, they already had a few couples divorcing as
I
seasons
think the
go.
majority, I think the majority of couples end up divorcing on reality TV. I think
Yeah.
most, like all the OC housewives ended up getting divorced. Like so many of the Beverly Hills housewives, like it's
How
really,
about, before they canceled or put on pause the original New York cast, there was not one housewife on the show because none
it
of
was
them were
like, it was the divorcees of New York City.
right. Thank goodness they got rid of them. That was hard to watch at the end.
See, that's the thing. Ramona is so damn problematic. She's so problematic, and I just love watching her
To
on.
me, it was just like that whole last season. Sorry, Joe, was about like Ebony Williams and Ramona fighting over
Well,
politics.
that got
That
too
was
dark. See,
that
that's
was
the
too
thing.
much. It's got to be
Reality
light.
stars,
I want to watch the Housewives for some light-hearted action, unless like Jen Shah's getting arrested. I want to keep it light.
yeah, but you know what? Someone told me the other day, they were like, reality TV is getting so dark. And I'm thinking back to like real world, right? Like we were talking about AIDS.
Yeah,
Like we were talking about death. We were talking about like cancers. I think now it just feels like so over dramatized, but really, even season one of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which was like 13, 14 years ago, one of the husbands committed
I
suicide.
did. Yeah.
One of the sisters, Kyle Richards, told her sister, "You're an alcoholic and you stole my goddamn house." Like, it's always been dark. It's really such a dark show, which is wild that like we enjoy it. We're like, can't wait for Housewives tonight. Who's getting arrested? It's so gross. But you know what? And this is going to be like random. Everyone always says like you shouldn't watch the Housewives. You shouldn't watch reality TV. It's bad, it makes women and men act badly and this and this and that. And then like you see in Congress, like AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene yelling at each other, calling each other names and stuff, like all this stuff in the news in real life. And I'm like, actually, maybe we should go back to Bravo. Like, we should watch reality TV because what's happening in like real life with politicians and stuff like that's worse. This is,
Well, it bled over into real life. That's what happened.
yeah, yeah, because
It's been a
everything's
systematic thing for 20 years now.
yeah, it's so true. And social media too, like all the drama and all the fights and all the comments. Like the comments on social media pages are so insane and so wild, like the Reddit forums, the Facebook groups, like I think people are just so mean. People are just so mean in this space, you know?
So we have. I want you to rank them because my mom used to watch all this stuff. Nick kind of watches it more, but it's like Beverly Hills, your home, New York City, New Jersey, Miami, Atlanta, Salt Lake. Rank them your favorites.
Okay, so it really depends on the seasons because there's certain seasons that I think are horrible, but I would say overall, like out of all the housewives, which one I will always definitely watch, like be excited for. Beverly Hills is always, but that's also because it's like close to home. I'm
Close to home,
friends with
right?
Teddy Mellencamp, who used to be on the show. Like it feels, I see all my local spots, you know, like it
Yeah.
feels. I love OC because of just like the history. It's the first show. I loved the old Roni, like New York, so much. But I still will continue to watch it because I think it's also about like what city it's in. If I like the city and I want to watch more of the city. Um, I would say my least favorite out of all of those is probably Atlanta. This last season was just like so hard to watch. Potomac was a struggle this last season.
New
That's the
casting
problem is,
shakeup next year.
what'd
For
you say?
Potomac casting shakeup. So we'll see.
And
Yeah,
Atlanta, which is
needed.
good because that's the thing is we get so bored watching the same
Yeah.
old thing. Like you don't want to feel like you're rinsing and repeating. But
I think the one I watched the first season, I'm out. I can't watch Dubai again. That was terrible. It was such a rough
wait,
watch
so
for me.
I really am so concerned because for my job, I feel like I have to watch Dubai and I could not finish first season.
It was so rough to finish it off. Uh,
And it would be so cool. Like Dubai is such a cool city. I've never been.
right.
I'd always want to go. Like you want, so maybe they're gonna make it better in second season. I'm sure a lot of people felt the same way as us. There's no way. Because I don't think the numbers were great on Dubai.
Well,
I
it
would love,
hasn't it's been off for a while, but I know that it's coming back really soon. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I would love like a housewives of, I'm trying to think like what a sit like I would love like a Nashville housewives. I would love to see like more of a South, like wouldn't that be like so interesting to see like a South Florida, like Palm Beach? Like, wouldn't that be
City
so
Flicker
interesting?
could be
Like
the stuff.
crazy money, or like Texas, like something in Texas.
Well, they had Dallas. That didn't work
Yeah, I was
That
gonna say
didn't
that
last.
Dallas didn't work. I don't
It
think
didn't.
Houston would work. Maybe Austin would work.
Austin could be kind of fun.
Yeah, I thought
Like,
Right.
they were gonna. I always thought they were gonna do Chicago, but it just
Chicago would be a great city to do it.
because I forget what's her name. I'm blanking. The one from New York City when she moved to Chicago.
Tinsley.
I thought they were gonna. Tinsley was gonna launch the Chicago Housewives, but never
She
happened.
didn't want to. The guy that she was with didn't want to be on TV,
Yeah,
which
they're
is why she
done.
left.
She's married now. At the
Yeah,
same.
she ended up breaking up with him and marrying someone else. It's
So you
crazy.
mentioned well, you mentioned Vanderpump Rules before. Should it be canceled?
Yes.
I think it's going, okay. So yes, the answer is yes, but it won't be because it still does well. And so they don't want to cancel the show because advertisers, etc. So obviously I don't have any 100% information, but I will tell you that from like pieces of things that I've heard and what I'm just kind of putting together, they shut down. They don't shoot this year. They start overtime trying to find a new cast of people that legitimately actually work at Sir
Yeah.
or Tom Tom, which is right around the corner, and start the show essentially season one like Roni and keep it called Vanderpump Rules, but no one, and maybe you'll have like a random showing of a Tom Sandoval or something like that because it makes sense because of Tom Tom. But I think Lala's gone, Sheena's gone, Ariana and Katie for sure are
Uh,
gone.
Katie is just, you know, I never watched the show. I saw some last year. I was watching this year, but the first time I saw Katie, I said to my, I said, I think her marriage didn't work out with Schwartz because I think she's a lesbian, and then she ends up kissing ladies in the next season. I mean, I was like, why were they fighting over this? Like, she definitely never was interested in her husband. That was my take from somebody who
Yeah,
never
I
watched the
think that
show.
they never had sex. In fact, I think most of the couples on these shows don't actually like each other. Like Tom and Ariana did not like each other. Like you watch I know that we're painting the picture of like, oh my God, what an asshole. He cheated on her. And that's horrible that he did. He should have broken up with her because in the last 5 seasons, they looked miserable. They weren't having sex. Like they talked about it. I mean, what kind of a couple? Can you imagine? being in a relationship, not even married, and not having sex. Like, sorry, that is like such a red flag for a relation. Like, that only happens when you have kids and like life gets hard, then you'll go through stages. But when you're dating, it's a bad sign. So that's usually what happens with all these couples, like Amanda and Kyle on Summer House. Like, they all talk about how they don't have sex. It's weird.
Carl Lindsay.
No one has sex. No one's having sex.
I think they should, yeah, Vanderpump's done. They should put Schwartz in Summer House this summer. Put him over there. He fits in.
Oh yeah, he's just such a bumbling idiot.
Yes.
I think Tom Schwartz is like a dandelion. Is that what it's called? Where you blow on it and all the fuzzes go.
Yeah.
You know that flower?
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Of course,
Like that's
yeah.
Tom Schwartz in flower form. Like he's just so like dissolvable.
Absolutely.
He has no personality. He's no strength. He's like he's just like, hey, yeah, friends, like, yeah, cool, yeah.
All right.
It would drive me crazy.
Donna, last reality question here. Do you think in the upcoming season of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills that Kyle Richards will finally come clean about her romantic relationship with Margaret Wade?
I think if we don't find something out, like maybe there was a crush or an affectionate moment or a thought or, you know, at least an emotional connection, if we don't find anything out and they just pretend it never happened, then the audience will literally go to her house with eggs and throw them on her face. Cause like, we're not that stupid, right? And fine, last year she was going through a divorce. We still didn't feel like we got enough as an audience. Like everyone was so mad because
Thank
they felt
goodness for buying Beverly Hills.
well, they got more on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that was like a whole other thing, buying Beverly Hills, because one of the girls on that show, I don't know if you watched it, but one of the girls on that show who played like the villain, I also went to high school with. And
Oh,
she,
the blonde real estate lady, the
Michelle.
mentor.
Mhm.
Yeah, Michelle.
Mhm.
Okay.
And like that was a case where it didn't work very well with her because so many of the other characters on that show, their Instagrams have exploded, like the guys and stuff. And Michelle's like hasn't really grown because she was such a villain on the show. People don't want to follow it.
Right.
But yeah, I think that if Kyle doesn't give us more, we're going to riot. We're rioting.
Well, I just want to say kudos to Erica Jane for predicting Dorit and PK were going to be done. So she got it right. Good job by her. And thank goodness Kathy Hilton's back because they missed her last season.
She's such a toxic mother, though. Have you watched the Paris?
Paris of Love, of course. I've seen all the episodes.
Come on, talk about an awkward, horrible, like strange.
I mean, that's just bizarre. But the mother-daughter relationship there.
They are so weird.
Yeah.
Like I say that with love. Weird.
All right. Well, you know, it's just a bizarre relationship. I always like when they go to the Conrad or the Hilton in Las Vegas and they stay there for free and get paid up the last name. So I'm wondering, when you and your family go bowling, is it free? Do the alleys let you run in?
Well, my son, he plays baseball, and every time he's up at bat, we all scream, "Let's go bowling!" No, we don't get shit. And you know what? I should probably start to argue about that because we did come up with bowling. There is an actual, my spelling of name, Dana. There's a Dana bowling alley. So every time people like Google my name, they end up at a bowling alley.
How many people mistake you for Dana?
900 a day?
Well, we didn't.
You guys did good. My husband, when Lance and I met, he put me in his phone as Donna because he's like, I'm going to mess this up when I call her. And then, of course, he was over at my house and I saw a missed call from Donna. I was like, who the fuck is that? Who's this bitch calling her? It's like, it's you.
That's
So yeah, but that's the problem when you have a name that is pronounced differently. It's an Israeli name. My parents were born in Israel, actually. So I was born here in LA, but over there, everyone's Dana. Dana. You can call me Dana.
So Donna, in your life or your career, what would you say is your I'm right moment? What I mean by that, it's a time or place where you wanted to pursue something. You asked somebody for advice. They said, Donna, don't do that. That's not going to work out. That's a bad idea. And you were like, you know what? Thanks for the advice, but I'm going to do it anyway. And in the end, you will see why it is that I'm right about this.
I think Daily Dose of Donna is a great example of that. No one in my friend groups and my circle. Like, I didn't even ask permission from anyone, but no one was really understanding or supportive of it. Like my mom, I remember she was like, wait, I'm sorry, what, you're talking about reality? And it's been my most successful venture yet. It's the one thing that it pays the bills. I have a very successful Patreon. I have sponsorships. I have all those things, but I do want to give up a lot when things get really mean, and like, because people get very, very, look how you went and gave a 1-star review because you didn't like her opinions. So I'll get I'll get these really horrible reviews or like DMs, or because I don't have a filter and I just share whatever's on my mind, and it's not popular a lot of times. And so while I have a lot of people that love my show, there's going to be those people that are just loudly hating. And so now my husband always has to like talk me off the ledge, because I'm like, I give up. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, don't even think about it. Like, you're doing so good. You have to have people hate you if you want to be successful. Like, no successful person in anything doesn't have someone that doesn't like them. Let's be real.
Yeah, like Teresa Giudice says, hate is gonna hate. Just love, love, love.
Love, love, love,
Love,
love.
love, love, love.
Or
I
don't
love,
hate.
love, love you.
No, this
That's
was
the
great.
way. Oh my God, that's so funny that you guys know so much about reality. It's good. That was a fun chat.
It was. Nick is keeping me up to date. I promise the next time we do this, it'll be a little more in the know. I think it's his wife's influence on him, because I'm the single one between the two. That's why we work so well. The differences between us, we're like oil and vinegar, salt and pepper. It just works,
I like that. Do you know these guys? They're two like straight guys that talk Bravo on their podcast. Have
Rob
you heard of
Bros,
them?
right?
Bravo Bros. Yeah, so you guys are like you're kind of like that. Like, one is married and one is single, and just chatting all these kinds of things. But no, it's nice to have two different perspectives. But I love all the challenge shows too. I just don't watch them as much because I think it's hard to stay like really invested in the story on the challenge shows as much as like, drama about like the husband cheating or whatever.
Right. They're not juicy
They're
enough.
not as juicy,
They don't
Joe.
they don't hit all the check boxes.
Yeah, but they're fun to watch. They are fun to watch.
They do. Donna, again, this was a lot of fun. We appreciate your time. I think with your podcast, it was such a seamless transition from what you used to do to what you do now. We would love to stay in touch with you, maybe do some
Yeah.
more collaborations in the future. But for now, thank you for your time. What we do here is we always give our guests the last word. So if there's anything else you would personally like to share or promote for yourself, by all means, go ahead. One more time, thank you for being with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, you can check out my show 5 days a week on YouTube or on, Spotify or the Apple Podcast app. And then of course I have a Patreon that I do like weekly personal gossipy episodes, but also, and I give a lot of like behind the scenes as a creator stuff, like the drama. And then I'm also recapping. I always do rewatches, and I'm rewatching Bethany Ever After, which was about her marriage when she had her little baby. And right now she's doing her divorce episodes, and people are like losing their minds. So it's crazy to go back and see kind of how things were when she's talking about how bad it was. So I like doing stuff like that. So you can check out my Patreon as well.
All right, Donna, we appreciate your time. Everybody go check out Donna's social medias, the podcast, Patreon as well. And that's going to do it here for this episode of You Know I'm Right. For our very special guest, Donna Bowling, my co-host, Joe Calabrese. I'm Nick Durst, and this has been You Know I'm Right.